Yo, what up? Okay, so this is gonna be a part one of my guide series that I actually want to do. I've been kind of lazy, so might as well just do one right now. So, in this one, I'm just gonna go over the talents, so the normal ones, and then the PvP talents. I'm gonna go over the essences that are good. I'm gonna go over the stats that you mainly want, and then I'm gonna take a quick look at the Azerite as well. So, if we start off with the talents, so then we have our first row over here. Now, the best ones that you can pick between is either Viper's Venom or Alpha Predator. It doesn't really matter that much which one you pick. I'd say just like play with both and then just figure out which one fits your, I guess, like rotation management a little bit better. They both have their ups and downs, and then I'd say generally it doesn't really matter which one you pick. And then terms of engagement is pretty much only good if you're questing or something. I don't know, it's kind of troll. So then the second tier we have Guerrilla Tactics, Hydra Spite, and Butchery. Now, this is pretty much the only one that's viable. You can pick this one in PvE and Butchery in like islands, but I'm not gonna go over. I'm just gonna do like for PvP right now. So this is pretty much the only one that's viable in this tier. Trailblazer, Natural Mending, and Camo. You can actually pick all three of these. I'd say in 99% of cases you probably want to go Camo. Natural Mending if Camo doesn't really matter. For example, if you're playing a comp where getting an opener doesn't really matter. So maybe something like a warrior team, if the enemy team has something like that. But if you're against like rogue mage or something, then Camo actually matters a lot because you don't want to get sapped. But yeah, probably one of these should be good. And then Trailblazer in those few instances where, for example, Natural Mending won't really do anything because you know that the game is going to be short. So maybe against like a Demon Hunter team where you're tunneling down the healer. So then Camo doesn't really do anything because you need to get the Demon Hunter's eye. For example, if you're playing with like a sub rogue or a feral druid, then Trailblazer could be good. But yeah, all three of these are pretty decent. Doesn't really matter which one you pick. Just probably try to stick to Camo or Natural Mending in the beginning. And if you're feeling like you're not getting anything out of Camo, then just go Natural Mending every single game. But you can experiment with either one of these. So then we have this row as well. You can probably pick all three of these as well. Now, Bloodseeker, for me personally, I don't even think it's that good. Like the damage over time is kind of negligible, and then the attack speed doesn't really matter that much as survival, because you're kind of playing like a range character. So like for example, if you're doing your damage like this, you know, and then if you harpoon in, you're gonna auto attack. But then what if you're like kiting away? You see, like right now, like my auto attack swing is gonna come back up anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you have Bloodseeker or not. Like the attack speed doesn't matter that much in PvP because you're not gonna have 100% uptime on your melee range. And then Steel Trap, and then like obviously like the bleed doesn't really do anything. I mean, it's like 8k over 8 seconds. I mean, it's okay sometimes, but yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like this damage is gonna like win you the game necessarily, so therefore I don't think it's very good. But if you're having like troubles with your rotation and you feel like adding more buttons to your rotation is gonna make it worse, then just play with Bloodseeker if you can't. Like, or if you don't wanna press more spells than you need to, because there's a lot of spells you need to press, so yeah. And then we have Steel Trap. I think this is one of the most underrated talents probably in the game. So I think this is like really insane. So what you can do with this is, for example, against like every rogue team or something, you can just like Steel Trap the rogue, and then he gets really sad because sometimes Tracker's Net won't be enough. Because if you're playing with a Disc Priest or maybe like a Feral Druid that has Thrash, or maybe the like Penance dot that spreads, then like if they have a bleed on them, then Tracker's Net is just gonna break it insta. So the root doesn't really matter. But Steel Trap breaks on around 20 to 30k damage. So you can actually do something with this. And I find it kind of good into our Impala as well. Because if you Steel Trap the healer, they will 99% of the time just freedom themselves. And then, you know, they freedom themselves, and then they can't freedom the rogue, so you can just like harpoon to them or wing clip them, and then it just becomes harder for the rogue to even like move. Even the mage, like they won't have a freedom for the mage as well, which is pretty good. I mean, it's just like, it has so many uses, and you can also use it from stealth. You see, like, I'm in stealth right now, but I can still use Steel Trap and it won't break me out. Like, I don't know. Seems pretty good, man. And then I think that the damage over time is pretty good as well, because it does like a lot of small ticks, so it can help you proc maybe your tentacles faster if you have one of those. I mean, it can proc Breath of the Dying, can proc Crucible. For example, if I'm in camo and I do this, it can proc stuff like, you know, Conflict and Strife, Ripple. If you have anything other, you can proc those as well. So yeah, I think it's like very good. You see now, like, see I'm procking like everything here. Also my insignia, let's go. So yeah, I do think it. I mean, the only problem with this talent is that it's kind of hard to really get used to if you don't have a good keybind for it. But if you have anything good for it, then yeah, I'd say try this out, because it's a little bit better than most people actually think. And then we have crows. I'd say for most cases you should probably pick between crows and Bloodseeker if you're like a new player. I think Steel Trap might be a little bit too hard in the beginning to get used to. So crows, just, I mean, it just does damage like over 15 seconds. That's like pretty much it. The only thing that you have to worry about when it comes to crows is that it costs 30 focus. So make sure that you press this button before you actually do your like CC rotation. So if you want to do it properly, you want to crows, and then you can maybe stun someone, and then you can trap them, instead of like trapping someone and then pressing crows, because you want to spend your focus on mongoose biting and serpent singing instead. So this is just something that you want to press before you even do a go. And overall, it does like a lot of damage, so see, pretty good. Let's see what else do we have. Born to be Wild. In PvP, I don't even think this is like worth it. Post haste is just so good. I mean, the movement speed is so good. You can like get yourself out of roots. You know, get yourself out of slows if you need to get some to someone. You know, it can be pretty beneficial, because if you need to catch up to someone and you don't want to freedom yourself because maybe you want to freedom a healer or something, you can just disengage to them instead of having to like disengage freedom or something. So it just makes it like way more easier to like move your character, and I'd say for 99% of cases you should have post haste. Now Binding Shot has its usages. It's an 8-second root that doesn't break on damage. So if you're against a like either a Demon Hunter team, or maybe like a DK team, or a Warrior team, Windwalker team, something like that, pretty much like every double melee team, it's pretty good to have Binding. Especially into Demon Hunters, because then you can Binding the Demon Hunter, and then they can't reverse their healer, if you know, like, because they want to reverse your trap. So I'd say into those matchups, Binding Shot is really good. But then just make sure that you're missing out on post haste. So if you're getting slowed, for example versus DKs, you know, you can kind of just be like a wheelchair the entire game, which is for the most part the only time that I go Binding Shot into DK teams is if it's DK DH. If it's like a DH warrior, I just go post haste, because I actually can't move my character versus a Demon Hunter, so I just go post haste every single time, because then I can freedom my healer. Because if I go Binding Shot versus DK teams, I'm pretty much forced to freedom myself. Otherwise, I will never be in line to, you know, like harpoon trap the healer or something like that. So yeah, it's kind of annoying, but yeah, just go post haste most games and you should be fine. Tip of the spear. Now I have done some testing with this in PvE, and the damage is like kind of okay, but it's not. I wouldn't say that it's better than Mongoose Bite, because Mongoose Bite should be your, you know, your like bread and butter spell. So you can sort of just like manage your window, because a good survival hunter, they know like how many stacks they have. So you should always, you know, be inclined to deal damage when you see you have like a 5 number here, because then you know you're gonna do big damage. Tip of the Spear just gives you like a little bit more like overall damage, but it's not better overall than Mongoose Bite. It's just like flatline a little bit more. But in PvP you win games by bursting people down, and Mongoose Bite gives you that. Now flanking strikes. Oh boy, I actually really like flanking strikes. Playing with it, it feels really fun, especially just like flanking striking to people. Because the good thing with flanking strikes is that it has like a it's like a dash. It's not a fixed distance. So if you flanking strikes a mage as they're blinking, you're gonna follow the mage all the way through, which can be kind of fun sometimes. I actually go flanking strikes when I'm playing double DPS, sometimes into very specific team comps where I know that I won't have enough time to stack up my Mongoose Bites. So for example, versus mages and rogues, if I'm playing double DPS, I'm not gonna have enough time to stack up a Mongoose Bite, because I'm gonna do like a Serpent Sting, double bomb, and then by the time that I'm pressing Raptor Strike, they're either gonna block, or they're gonna evasion, or they're gonna run away, or they're gonna do something that makes it so it's really hard for me to like stack up. And in games like that, I don't know, I just think it's kind of fun to go flanking strike. It just gives me something to press instead of Raptor Strike. Because then like I can just spam Serpent Sting, you know? And I don't have to worry about kill commanding, because I can get a little bit more focus by pressing flanking strikes. So that's kind of cool. But that's like pretty advanced, and it doesn't really fit most people when it comes to playing survival. So I'd say just pick Mongoose Bite and you'll be fine. Now here you only really have one option, which is Wildfire Infusion. Burst of Prey is only really good if you're playing Blur of Talons spec. So this is like kind of garbage in PvP, because most of the time you're not even pressing Mongoose Bite that often with your coordinated assault. For the most part, it's just Serpent Sting and then bombs. So maybe realistically, this might increase your coordinated assault by like 6 to 8 seconds, around there. So if you think of it like that, I don't know, it's not like... Yeah, it's kind of wonky. And also, it kind of cucks you, because like, let's say you're stunning someone, because it forces your pet to be on the person, otherwise you won't get more duration. So if my pet is like, I stun this guy, and then I want to coordinate it, and then Mongoose Bite, you see, like, I'm not getting... Like, I wouldn't get like more seconds if my pet's like over here, you know? So it's just small things like that. Or like, what if my pet is like stuck in a mage root over here, but I still want a Mongoose Bite, you know? So yeah, it's just stuff like that, where I don't think it's very good for PvP. Now for PvE, it's really good, but that's a different story. So one of the better things with Wildfire Infusion, why you want to pick it, is because it gives you the ability to double bomb. So you have like 2 of them at the same time, which gives you like big fucking burst. Because otherwise you have to spread them out. So if I don't have this talent, let me show you. I just have one ability. So let me see if I can get more stacks. So if I do like a bomb here, I can't do another bomb, because you see, it just like refreshes. So I missed out on the last 3 seconds of the bomb damage, which is not good. So yeah, I just go this. Chakrams, I actually love this spell. Oh boy, I kind of love Chakrams, but it does so little damage, I don't know, man. It's just not worth it at all, and it breaks every CC, and you like sometimes you don't even want to press it because you want to stack up your Mongoose Bites instead. So yeah, I mean, there's just like too many things that are just like wrong with this spell, I don't know. Just don't pick it, just go Mongoose Bite and Wildfire Infusion, and then you're fine. Okay, and then we here just go either Medallion if you're playing anything other than a human. If you're playing human, you should go Rally. But if the enemy team doesn't have a stun, for example, if you're against like a Mage Disc Priest in 2s, then just go Medallion, because I don't know, Relay is like seems kind of wonky. Yeah, fuck it, whatever. Just go Relay if you're playing human. Otherwise, just go Medallion. You should never pick Adaption. This is trash. So for the talents, I'm just gonna go over everything, because I think that every single talent here, except for Scorpid Sting, and sticky tar can be actually be used. So I'm not gonna go over these because they're so bad. Like, there's no situation where you ever want to pick these. So just ignore this one and ignore this one. So hunting pack is good if you're against a team where other talents aren't superior. So I'm gonna go over this one later on. So I'm just gonna do like a couple of builds and I can show you. So for example, Roar of Sacrifice, if you're playing 3s and 2s with a healer, you should pretty much always have this. Now some key notes about Roar of Sacrifice. It's been changed in 8.3. So right now, so before, let's say this guy was like my healer. So before I could actually press Roar of Sacrifice on him, but now it doesn't work because before it used to be pet line, but now Roar of Sacrifice requires your line and pet line to see. So for example, if my pet is over here, let's see, he's like on the pillar right here, and I want to Roar of Sacrifice this guy, I can't because it requires both of our lines for it to work. So it can be kind of wonky to use, but once you know the like limitations of it, you can work around it. And then we have now Mending Bandage. This is like a mandatory talent. Every single time that you're against a Feral Druid or an Aster Rogue, you need to have this. Getting rid of Ruptures can be really annoying, and getting rid of Rip. And also Feral Frenzy. If you get Feral Frenzy in the beginning, oh boy, the enemy team is going to be very sad. So yeah, this should always be picked against an Acer Rogue or a Feral Druid. Other than that, you don't really want to pick it. Tracker's Net, this is pretty much good into every single melee matchup that you won't attack. It can also be good into Resto Shamans, because Resto Shamans have quite a rough time to get out of roots. So as long as the people that you want to root aren't, they don't have any dot on them or something, because it breaks instantly on damage, then Tracker's Net is like really good. Now Diamond Eyes, this is like, now in 2s you can play this versus Demon Hunters if you're training the healer, but I don't know, I think I'd rather go maybe something like this versus a Demon Hunter team. But I mean, some people like Diamond Eyes versus Demon Hunters. Me personally, I don't. I'd rather just outplay them with Binding Shot and then just root them in it. Because then, like, this root doesn't break on damage, so they can't actually do anything about it. But some people really like it, so let them pick it, I guess. They can also be good into Warlock teams if you know that they're gonna run Imp. So for example, if it's like a Warlock team with a Resto Druid healer, and you have, a hard time covering for the Imp, then Diamond Eyes can be okay. I say generally try to avoid Diamond Eyes, because having 3 seconds less on your trap can be kind of annoying. And the problem as well is, like, it's way harder to CC out of a Diamond Eyes trap. Because let's say you're a healer, like a priest healer, and you're standing on someone with Freezing Trap, and you want to fear out of the trap, you can't really do them. Like, they're immune to CC while they're in Diamond Eyes, so you can't, you sort of have to wait until the debuff is over, and then you can fear. But the problem with that is, like, if the healer is spamming a heal spell, it's probably gonna go through before you can fear, so it's gonna leave a gap, which is pretty bad. So yeah, I don't know, just like try to avoid it. But if you're forced to go it, or like if you're really tilted and you hate Imp, and yeah, it's fine. You can pick it if you want. Oh boy, here we have Knock Trap. This is probably one of the worst spells in the game, but it's also really good. Oh man, I fucking hate this spell. So yeah, like the trap, I feel like it never works, and when it does work, it feels amazing. But the problem with Knock Trap is that Knocks can be really good sometimes, so you're kind of forced to play with it. But the problem with playing with Knock Trap is that you're gonna get frustrated 99% of the time. because the travel time of this trap is so slow, and the arming time is so slow as well. Now, I don't have War Mode on. Oh god, this is gonna be like the most scuffed guide ever, but whatever. Okay, there we go, and then I'm back. So I'm just gonna show like how Knock Trap works. So you can see like the delay. So there, it went off. If you compare that to Tar Trap, like the second that it lands on the target, it goes off. Show with Freezing Trap as well. But you see, like, there's no like arm time. If it lands on the floor, it fucking goes off. But with Knock Trap, you have to wait like 0.5 seconds. So if people are moving, oh boy, it's gonna be pretty hard to try to land this trap. But if you do it, then it's like you're a god basically. So then survival tactics, I'd say this is like generally one of the better talents as well. Same with Roar of Sacrifice. This is pretty much good in every single scenario where they're gonna be hitting you at least once. So one of the best uses of this is you can either feign death of like debuffs that are now very spooky. So for example, you can feign death of like a Maledic. You can feign death this here, this trinket, which does like 1 billion damage. So yeah, if you get this one, you can just press feign death and then wow, it's gone. And there's one more. I think it's from Ataldasar, maybe. Crusted. Oh no, is that the one from... Oh no. It's from here. Oh no. Uh-oh. Thinking Waycrest Manor. What the f... Hello? Does anyone know where the... Oh yeah, here, there, this one. You see this trinket does like a lot of damage as well, especially if you get like a 460 or 465, even 475. This can do like 200k damage if it crits a little bit. This is very scary trinket. So if you get this debuff, just feign death and then you're fine. There's some like other stuff as well, like I mean, if you have maybe it's like a dot or something, if you want to mending banish yourself, you can just remove them. Or for example, if you see that like someone is so most spells in the game are gonna do their damage regardless if you press feign death mid-air. So for example, if my Serpent Sting here is a Chaos Bolt, if he presses feign death as the Chaos Bolt is in the air, he's still gonna take full damage, because the damage gets like hit before it even reaches the person. So, but then again, not every single spell works like that. For example, like a Frostbolt. If a Frostbolt comes to you and you press feign death while it's mid-air, it's gonna do like 5 damage because you have 99% damage reduction. This just comes with like knowing every single spell in the game, because like some spells are different. I know that Chaos Bolt works in a way where it doesn't matter, like you can't feign death them. You can't feign death Star Surge either. And then I think it's not, what was it? Comet Storm. You can't feign death Comet Storm either. Like once Comet Storm is just like above you, it's just like, well, what can you do? But stuff like Glacial Spike and Frostbolt and oh yeah, wait, Greater Pyro as well. You can't. If a Greater Pyro is mid-air, you can't feign death it. It's just like, well, it's gonna hit you regardless. You can't even turtle. This is gonna hit you, and there's like nothing you can do about it. Spider Sting. Boy, this is like pretty good into every single mage, or like every single elemental shaman, or every single affliction warlock, or every single destro warlock. Blah, blah, blah. It's just good overall. So how it works is that the effect is a poison effect, which is kind of unique because usually silences are magic. So I think is it shamans that can't dispel poison? I think so. So I know into shaman teams, like the healer gets really sad because they can't even dispel a silence because the application. So I'm gonna show you. So this thing is a poison, and then when they cast an offensive spell, so not something like a blink that counts as a defensive spell. But something like a Frost Nova, or a Frostbolt, or a Chaos Bolt, or a Conflag, or a Fear, something like that. Not something like a Havoc. Like Havoc, Blink, like Fade if it's a priest, like stuff like that won't really proc Spider Sting, but just everything that does damage and does CC will proc Spider Sting. So the application effect is a poison, and then when they get silenced, that's a poison effect as well. That can be kind of cool to know. And then we have Dragon Scale armor. I'd pick Dragon Scale over Roar of Sacrifice, and if you're against like some really heavy dot cleaves, so maybe, I don't know, there's not that many dot cleaves right now. Maybe if you go against my Shadow Priest, Destro Warlock team, maybe, and you, because Roar of Sacrifice doesn't really have that much value into that team anyway, because you kind of just want to avoid bolts regardless. It's not like you want to tank them and just, oh, I have Roar of Sacrifice, I'm fine, you know? Just avoid them. So yeah, I think maybe those matchups it might be okay. And then we have Viper Stick. This is pretty okay into... I mean, this is like the same thing with Hunting Pack. If you don't have anything better, Viper Stick can be good. So if you're noticing a theme with some of these talents, some of them are only good into very specific things. So this is only good into Asa Rogues and Feral Druids. This is only good into like melee teams and maybe Resto Shamans, where you're not gonna have a bleed on everything. This is only good if, you know, you're against like a diamond, like a purge boy, like an imp, or maybe a demon hunter. Sometimes, maybe. This is like good if you're not playing with someone that has a knock, or someone that has like a knock DR. So it wouldn't be good if you're playing with a monk, like with a Ring of Peace. It wouldn't be good if you're playing with some, like a druid with a tornado. It wouldn't be good if you're playing with any other knock classes in the game. So it just kind of depends. This is not really good if they're not gonna hit you. This is only good into casters. This is only good into, yeah, I mean, just like dot things. And this is only good into Resto Druids, and then sometimes Resto Shamans if you like put it on them, and then, you know, they're in Ghost Wolf, so it reduces their healing. Which means that stuff like Hunting Pack can be good sometimes, because sometimes you only really have 2 talents that are good, and then, you know, you might as well just go Hunting Pack because there's nothing else that's even viable. But yeah, so if you're playing with a healer in 2s, something like this can be a pretty good matchup if you're playing with a, you know, with a Resto Druid, because you can't really go Mending Bandage, because let's say the person that you're facing is not a Feral or a Asa Rogue. You can't go Tracker's Net because there's no one to root. This is not good. This is not good because you're playing against, I mean, you're playing with the Resto Druid, so this is just gonna DR their Vortex. This is not good because maybe you're not against a caster. Maybe Dragon Skill, you're not even against a caster here either. So you sort of have to just like go down the entire tree of the PvP talents and just be like, huh, I don't have that many options. I guess I can just go Viper Sting sometimes and just toss it on the Resto Druid for fun. Or, well, I don't know, I don't have that many options. I might as well just go Hunting Pack, because literally nothing else is useful. So yeah, but I think all of these have their usefulness sometimes. It just matters on the comp. I'd say, as a default, this is a pretty good default. Or maybe this could be a good default. You know, this is generally good into most teams. Maybe into casters you can pick something like this, and then maybe into melees you can pick something like, you know, a knock trap. But if you already have a knock, you know, we can go down like into a melee team. Do I really need Tracker's Net? Let's say Tracker's Net is not good here. Like, okay, so you have 2 options now: Hunting Pack or Viper Sting the healer. I'd say generally just go Hunting Pack. I mean, it's kind of fun. Gives you less CD. You can move, you know, your people. You can press Hunting Pack next to your healer, so you can Cheetah next to your healer and then put Freedom on him, and then he becomes a race car. That can be kind of fun sometimes, so yeah. I'd say just like play around with them and then, yeah. But the problem with the PvP talents, as you maybe have seen, that there is no best PvP talent. Like, I can't just pick 3 and then you always have them. You have to constantly change them because sometimes most of them are useless. I feel like I've overdone this a little bit too much, but yeah, it's very important, okay? I promise. Yeah, whatever. Okay. So now I'm gonna go over all the Azerite. So pretty much the best setups you can have, I actually already have it because I'm really lucky. You want to have latent poison. So triple latent poison is super important. It's like the one way that you can actually do burst. And a fun trick about latent poison is that the application of Serpent Sting and the dot will increase your latent poison stacks. So what I mean with that is that if you're looking at the stacks, so 1, it's gonna go up to 3, because you see, like, because the dot ticks, so it's gonna go up to 5, and then I can do this 6, 7. You see, because the dot is always constant, but if you're just pressing this, then the application gets it as well. So if you really want to burst someone down, like really, and let's say you have like a 120 focus and you don't want to press kill command, you can just walk up to someone, spam. Look how fucking fast I'm spamming. I do latent poison so fast now, and I have 9 stacks, and then I just like big damn. Yeah, that's like one way that you can do it. Note this is only good if you have like way too much focus to even deal with. But just so you know, spamming Serpent Sting is not actually bad. It can be pretty good. Just make sure that you don't spam Serpent Sting if you already have 10 stacks of latent, because then just, I don't know, press kill command or just wait. Actually, waiting here would be the best, because pressing another Serpent Sting will just, like, you'd rather have this with 10 stacks, because you can't go higher than 10, right? So yeah. But yeah, so latent poison is just like the best by far. And then we have, you need to have 1 wilderness survival. I'd say this is pretty mandatory. Otherwise your rotation just becomes kind of wonky, because you're gonna have some time where you can't really like press any spells. Let's say you have 0 focus, kill command is on cooldown. What do? Well, if you have wilderness survival, your bombs are gonna come up, so you can press something, which is kind of cool. And then it's a primeval, something like that, intuition. This is just pretty good as well. I mean, it just gives you 20 more focus, like, pretty nice. For like most scenarios, there's not really like a case where this is bad. Like, having one of them should be, I wouldn't say mandatory, but I'd say it's really good. And then the other ones that we have, so let's say maybe you're not as lucky as me and you don't get, you know, best in slot Azerite. You can go 1, is it Dire Consequence? Having one of those is pretty good as well. Having 1 serrated jaws can be kind of okay. Venomous Fangs is kind of good as well. But I mean, in comparison, they're trash compared to triple latent with 1 wilderness, 1 primeval, and then the engineering helm. Because engineering helm is actually insane, because you get overwhelming power as well, which is like one of the best in this slot. And then this is like really good as well. Gives you like fucking nutty haste sometimes, or just, you know, main stat. And main stat is like really good as well, so yeah. This is also pretty big, just like removes bleeds randomly, so yeah. It can also be pretty good because you can remove the corruption gushing wounds sometimes randomly if they have it. And you can also remove Getiiku if you're against like a 2-hander wielder boy which has it, so yeah. Pretty good, I'd say. I guess later on I can go over the Azerite. So for me personally, what I have gone through, I've done the math and everything, and just like, this is what I would recommend in 3s. Now, if you're against something with a purge on the enemy team, then maybe you can go something like this. If you're playing threes, note, okay, if you're playing with someone that won't give you 100% uptime, then Formless Void is not really good. So maybe you have like a Vitality Conduit on your healer, which is it's like a 1.5 minute CD, or is it 45 something? It's not like 30 or 20. It's kind of high. And then maybe your DPS is playing with a blood or something. But if your partner is playing with breath as well, or maybe your healer is playing with Crucible, which means that they press their answer rate like a lot, then if you have 100% uptime, this is a fine way to play the game as well. And if you don't have Ripple, you can replace it with Lucid. Or maybe sometimes this does a lot of damage. I don't know why. Some games it actually does no damage, sometimes it does a lot of damage. I've tried everything out pretty extensively, but what I've seen is that this is probably the setup that I would recommend to most people. It just does the most damage, and I'd recommend it. I'll give it the big Mexican seal of approval. But I can just go over everything here, just so you know what we're dealing with. So conflict as a miner should pretty much always be taken, because you get 8 stacks pretty fast, and it's kind of hard to lose stacks in PvP, because every time you get slowed or something happens to your character, you get stunned, feared, cheaped, you get more stacks. That happens a lot. So you're pretty much always going to have 8 stacks, which is going to increase your damage by around 5.5%. So yeah, pretty big. The problem with focusing Iris as a miner is that you swap targets a lot. Because when you're playing with triple latent poison, you pretty much want to have, I'd say, at least 2 Serpent Stings maybe rolling at all times. Okay, maybe 1, depending. But you're swapping a lot, and you're kill commanding this guy, swapping here, look how much I'm swapping. If I had Iris here, there's no fucking way that I would stack this up. It just won't work. So therefore I wouldn't recommend it at all. Crucible Miner is kind of bad, because the good thing about Crucible is that the Major is so strong. So strong. So I'd say as a miner, just, I don't know, man, there's no point. I'd say there's way better miners down here than Flame. Blood Major and Miner is pretty bad. I've played around with Blood Major, but it doesn't really do anything. And then as a miner, it's just gives you crit and haste. I don't know, man. Especially the haste part, because that you get it so rarely. I don't know, it's not good at all. Breath Miner, oh boy. This miner is so insane. I swear, Breath Miner is actually better than Breath Major. It does so much damage. Oh, it's insane. I mean, of course, you can play with Breath Major as well. Maybe this is just a personal thing that I haven't played with Breath Major enough. But I think the problem that I have is that I just want to press Breath Major every time that it's up. But I can't really do it, because what if your main target is not above 80% HP? What do you do? I don't know. I just get sad when I see that it's off cooldown, but I can't press it because there may be 60% HP. So I feel I just save it forever, and then when I press it, when they're at 100% HP, I feel that won't really impact the game. Because I'm well, I got them to 92% HP now, wow. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, on details, it does a lot of damage, because if you press it every single time they're at 100% HP, then yeah, it's gonna do big damn. But I don't feel it's damage that's gonna win you the game. Which it's the problem. Because the Breath Miner is gonna be the thing that wins you the game, because when they're below 20%, it procs so often. So yeah, that's why I think that it's better to have this as a miner and this as a major. But then again, if you're against something, someone that's just gonna purge off all of your stacks, then yeah, sure, you can go Breath Major and then maybe either Formless Void Miner or maybe like Lucid Dreams Miner or maybe Condensed Life Force Miner, depending on if you're feeling lucky or not. But yeah, I'd say generally just like pick something like this. So, over to Condensed Life Force Miner. This can do a lot of damage sometimes, but in other games it just doesn't do anything whatsoever. I don't really understand. Just really wonky. I think like the proc per minute is kind of off. Because I've had games where it procs 3 times in 2 minutes, and I've had 10 times in 2 minutes. So I'm not sure. It's kind of, I mean, it's cool sometimes if you don't have anything else. Like for example, like I'd say Breath Major, and then with this as a minor, could be pretty good. Could work for sure. It's not straight up trash, but maybe sometimes it's kind of trash. And then Lucid Miner. Yeah, I've played with this a lot as well. I mean, it can be good sometimes. You mainly just get it for the versatility proc, to be honest. Because with the testing that I've done, I think I did about like 1,000 Mongoose Bites or something. And it was roughly every 8th spell that you do will give you a stack. So if you think of it like this, like if you read the tooltip, like your 8th Mongoose Bite will refund you 15 focus. I mean, when you read it like that, it seems really bad. So you don't really go this for the focus regen or for the heal, because the heal is nerfed by like 70% in PvP anyway. It's gonna heal you for like 6k. You mainly just go this for the verse proc. But I don't think 409 verse is better than most of these things. For example, even sometimes Condensed Life Force Miner can be even better than this like miner. It just depends on the game. I don't know. Sometimes this don't want to proc, but whatever. Now, Purification Protocol, this does a lot of damage. Like a lot of damage, but it breaks traps, it breaks blinds, it breaks fears, it breaks everything. Oh boy. If you want to go hard, sure, but just make sure that you're gonna give everyone, and yourself included, a big old headache. When you look at details, you look at CC breaks, you see like Freezing Trap breaked by Purification Protocol. Fuck. I don't know. And also, never pick this as a major, by the way. Oh yeah, also, don't pick this as a minor. Don't pick as a major. Only minors, okay? The only viable majors in PvP is Conflict, maybe if you're against RM Pal with an Asa Rogue, so you can have Knock Trap, and then this setup so you can feign def a melee if they're gonna go you for fun. But yeah, I'd say, don't go this. Just go Crucible or Reaping Flames. Yeah, these should be your only 2 majors. Okay, with that out of the way, I think Ripple, oh boy, this is such a good miner. Now the 5% movement speed is always going to be pretty fun, because you know you're moving 5% faster, and also because you have this pathfinding 8% movement speed, so you're just going to cruise around the arena at 13% movement speed permanently all the time. That's pretty cool. And then also, this procs so often. I think I've done a testing on about 100 games, and the average that I had uptime was, I think it was like 62% of the games. I mean, 62% uptime in about 100 games, which is pretty good. Because if you think of it, every single time that you press disengage or harpoon, it's pretty much just gonna proc instantly. So yeah. And with my gear in PvP, this gives me, I think it was like 828 agility, which is a 6.2% damage increase that you're gonna have for roughly 60% of the game. I mean, when you think of it like that, it's pretty fucking good. So yeah, the closest thing, if you don't have rank 3 Ripple, which I understand. I mean, it's kind of a pain in the ass to grind, so I understand if you don't have it. You can go Formless Void, which is also kind of a pain in the ass to go, but I mean, what you're gonna do? But I've compared this to this. Now in PvP, this one gives me roughly there's like 400 and like 460 agility PvP, and then it was like 80 haste. Now you can actually have 100% uptime of this, which is pretty good, but that's half of the 820 agility 60% of the time. So I think even if, let's say you're playing with a feral druid that has breath, and you're playing with a disc priest that has crucible instead of vitality for some reason, even in that world, I don't actually think that it's better than Ripple, because I'd rather have 820 agility 60% of the game than 480 agility for 100% of the game, because I think bigger numbers and bigger burst matters more than a constant threat of some agility, you know. And also you're lacking the movement speed, which it's not fun. More movement speed is always more fun. Oh boy. Spark of Inspiration. Now, I think the proc per minute of this, it was roughly around 6 per minute, which is pretty good if you think of it like that. But compared to this, I don't know, man. You kind of just have to. I mean, if you're playing with like Reaping Flames as a major, maybe you have space for this. I'd say this is a fine setup. If you're playing threes and you're talking to your boys, and every single one of your boys are running Spark of Inspiration, that's gonna be around the like 18 procs per minute. That's 18 seconds less of your things every single minute on all three of your boys. That's pretty good. But you have to make sure that all three of you guys are playing it, and also rank 3 is the only one that is good. If you can't have rank 2, that's just straight up trash. But this could be a fine setup as well for threes. But in my opinion, I'd just rather go maybe something like this. Oh wait, what am I doing? Something like this. This is just me though. With the testing that I've done, I think this does the most damage. But then again, if I was against a Purge team and my teammates were like, yo, can you go Spark of Inspiration? I could replace Ripple with Spark. This seems okay if people want to play with Spark. And if you're against a Purge team, you know, you can go this, and then you have Breath here. Or I can't because it's on cooldown, but yeah. You know what I mean. And then we have this. You should never pick it. Vision Perfection. If minor, or maybe sometimes. I don't know. Doesn't line up with your trinkets, so it's kind of wonky. I don't. But I mean, if you have literally nothing else, then sure, go ahead. And then World Vein, Resonant. I mean, you move every single. Okay, no, don't pick it. That should be everything. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm gonna go over the gear. So, my gear, kind of nuts. So the minimum amount of haste that you need, that you actually need, I'm gonna show you guys, because I'm gonna type it in chat. Okay, so, was it 1670 haste should be like the bare minimum amount of haste. You should never have less than 1670 haste. And the reason why... Oh, what? No, nay, I'm leaking my chat. Okay, so the reason why you want to have a minimum of this is because if you have 1670 haste, which will give you a 1.20 GCD, this means that you can do your stun, 3 globals, and then trap. So I'm gonna show that right now. Let's say this guy this is like a healer. And this is a guy that I'm gonna kill. So I'm gonna stun. So 1, 2, 3, trap. See, I left like no room. So, like in my opinion, I think that 1.20 is like the least, like I guess like the smallest number that you need to make sure you get this constantly all the single time, every single time, all the time. Which is why I would recommend 16.70 haste. So yeah. So once you get 1670 haste, I'm gonna put this here as well so you guys can see easier. You're just gonna stack verse. Just stack it. Just get as much verse as possible. If you see an item with versatility, just like, oh boy, get it. And then if you don't get verse, you can get more haste. For example, like, you know, if I have my PvE gear, whoa, big haste. Yeah, like, oh boy. I think the problem with having too much haste when you're playing PvP is that sometimes it can be kind of hard because you're not spamming your, like, you're not like button mashing every single global that you're doing most of the time. Sometimes you fuck up, and sometimes you're behind the pillar and you can't even deal a target. Or sometimes you just need to think, what's gonna be the best ways that I press my spells in? You need to think about your rotation, okay? Give yourself some leeway. You don't want to have like, oh my god, this fucking corruption proccing. You like, so I wouldn't recommend, which is okay. This is like one of the reasons why I wouldn't even recommend having like a haste trinket as well, because sometimes you can't even get anything out of getting more haste. I mean, obviously it's good. Don't get me wrong here. I mean, you always want to stack haste, but it's just harder. Because more haste means that you need to play better. But if you can't play up to par, you should have just gone verse in the first place, bro. That's all I gotta say. And then if you can't get more haste, get more mastery, and if you don't get mastery, you can, I guess you can get crit. Unforge. There you go. This is gonna be my stat prio. So you want to get this for the 120 GCD, so you can do a stun, 3 globals trap without leaving any gaps. Then you stack verse. If you don't get more verse, I guess you can get more haste. If you can't get any of these, mastery, and then crit if you're like crying, I guess. Yeah. Okay, and then I'm gonna go over the trinkets because I get asked this every single day. What are the best trinkets, bro? So I did the math, and I compared a 450 badge, not this one, but I like a 450 badge to a 450 medallion. And I did the on news and the proc and everything. So the medallion, so 573 agility. It was like versus 224 verse. This amount of agility will increase your damage by 2% more. So a medallion is going to give you flat 2% bigger damage increase than, let's say, a badge. But you're probably going to go something like this. Like a thingy and then a melee, or either a proc get or maybe safeguard. So yeah. So let's say you want to run badge. Now, a badge increases your damage with roughly 25%. Now, some spells are different. It increases your Mongoose Bite by, I think it was like 23%. And then Serpent Sting by 26. And then your Bombs by 26. And then your Crows by 24. So this is because some of your spells scale differently with attack power, and agility just gives you attack power, right? So some of them scale differently because Mongoose Bite scales more with your weapon damage, which is why it was only a 23% damage increase for my Mongoose, but it was a 26 for my Serpent Sting. But roughly, accounting for every single ability, it was a 25% damage increase with a badge. Now, medallion, This gave me a 11% damage increase on every single spell. Every single spell was like the exact same, like mathematically. So if you think of it like that, would you rather pick Medallion? It gives you 2% more damage overall than a badge, but badges on use increases your damage by 25%. Medallion on use increases your damage by 11%, but it lasts for 5 seconds longer. And then also you have to add to the fact that versatility increases the damage of all of your other spells that doesn't increase by ability power. So for example, where's my breath? If you look here, so breath 22884. If I have a badge, 22884. Now, this doesn't increase like the damage of anything, like how you manage to slice it. So this doesn't matter per se, but versatility will increase the damage of your flame. It's gonna increase the damage of your mind flay or your infinite stars or whatever corruption you have, but your badge won't. So then when you think of it like that, it gets a little bit harder to really know which one is better, a badge or a medallion. But I'd just say, if you don't really know what's better, medallion or badge, I'd say just go with the medallion. And the reason why is because I don't think most people can get good value out of their unused trinkets, and medallion is just a little bit more forgiving in a sense than badge, because even if you fuck up your entire go and you waste your badge, it matters a lot because you're losing out on the 2% flat damage increase from your medallion. But if you're a player that knows how to get good usage out of a badge, I'd say go badge, because 25% increased damage versus 11%, that's pretty big. That's massive. That's huge. It's actually massive. It's pretty big. Yeah. And yeah. So now, we're over the medallion versus the badge debate. Now, what other trinket do you go? Now, I think Breach is actually an okay trinket, but you can do better. So I'd say Insignia would probably be your best bet by far. Like, this proc is so insane. It's nutty as frick. You can have this up for about like 70% of the time in like a 4-minute game. I don't really understand how, but this proc per minute is insane. I'd even recommend early on in the season, if you have a corrupted gladiators insignia and a notorious gladiators insignia, you can probably just stack both and have both of them at the same time, which is kind of cool. And then otherwise, I mean, Maledic is just so good. Like, Mali into Resto Druid teams, and your team is playing with a Maledic as well, you can really get the usage out of it. Oh boy, you can do big things with Maledonkers. And then with the PvE trinkets that are new for, I mean, Ash, this was never good in PvP, so yeah, whatever. This is actually pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's better than the other trinkets that I just went through, but I mean, I have a 475 with a socket. And also the proc effect, it's roughly about 65% uptime, which is pretty good. But then again, it's like 442 haste. I won't really do that much every single game, but I'm just playing with it sometimes because I just want to play around with the slow fall effect. I think it's pretty fun to just slow fall and then disengage and you get like a bigger leap, like something like this, See how fucking far I go, like what? You see? Pretty fun. But I'd say generally, if you want to try hard, one of the better setups is either running something like this or something like this if you're not as confident in your badge usage. You can probably go double if you want, but I don't know. Just go insignia, bro. This becomes way too clunky to have 2 unused trinkets. And then also, in my opinion, don't macro your coordinated assault and your badge together. This is just me personally. I feel like it's overkill. Every single time that I see someone play and they coordinated assault and badge at the same time versus like a rogue, they're gonna press evasion anyway. So just press coordinated, get evasion. Oh my god, what are they doing? And then after they get evasion, just press your badge. What? Or like against the mage, let's say you're badging and coordinated at the same time and you're gonna get block anyway. Like, why use both? Just use one and then you can save the other one for next go. Like, I don't know. I mean, this is okay. I'm talking about the gear. I'm so sorry. I kind of went off track. Whatever. What else is there in the raid? Well, I've heard people are saying this is pretty good. I don't know. In PvP, this is kind of wonky. Same reason as I said before. Getting more haste. It's easier in PvE because then you know what the boss is gonna do and you can like act accordingly. But what if you get like CC'd as this procs? Like, what the fuck can you, like, you can't do anything. You're just like, well, I guess my haste proc is just kind of over. Like, oh no. And then 229 haste flatline. I mean, I don't know, man. Like 0.03 global. Doesn't really do that much. And then Torment in a Jar. So first off, this breaks CC. Second off, it does no damage. And then third off, don't pick it in PvP, please. I swear, I keep hearing people say that this is good in PvP. It's not. Don't go this. Oh, nay. And then Safeguard. Yeah, it's kind of okay. Can be cool if you're scared of dying, you know? So speaking of Breach, and then this other trinket that got released into the raid, this one. I actually genuinely think that this is straight up trash. Until people... I'd say actually like early on it might be okay. Because maybe some PvEers have so much corruption and they want to have fun in PvP and you can just kind of be annoying and have this. But I'd say for most scenarios it's not very good because they can just get out of it. Forehead. And then with the Breach can be pretty fun sometimes. I'm playing with it when I play double DPS because it's sort of like the old spectral guys from a priest. You can just go stealth. One thing to note is that you can flare people out of Breach. So if you're a hunter and someone on the enemy team uses their Breach, you press your flare while you can see them. Now the thing is, like, this breaks their Breach, which means that it's not like you can see them only while they're in the flare. So like it doesn't work in a way where they're in the Breach but they walk out and they're still stealthed. No, this just removes the entire effect. So flare is so good into Breach, just so you guys know. And then also Breach doesn't work with True Sight, so someone can just pick up the eye. If you have Vendetta on you, they will still see you. If God forbid you're against a marksmanship hunter, if they have Hunter's Mark on you, they can still see you. You know, Demon Hunters can get you out, etc, etc. Now, if you take damage, it doesn't actually break, so you can't AoE people out of this thing. Just so you know, in the future. I mean, you can still trap people and tar trap people while they're stealthed, but you can't like carve people out of this route. Like that won't work. I mean, do damage through them, because it doesn't break on damage. That's an important distinction to know. But you can't press any spells while you're in this Breach. So just so you know, I mean, you can't pet attack, which is something, and also your pet doesn't go in stealth. Those are some key notes to know. And also, I was actually really worried that this speed effect wouldn't work because, you know, you say like speed is increased by 4,806. So the speed stat doesn't actually work in PvP. So I thought in the beginning that the speed wouldn't work, but it does work. And 4,806 roughly equates to around like a 60% speed up, which is kind of fast, kind of fun to use. I think that's... Oh yeah, never mind, corruptions. Okay, so the corruptions that you want to go... Oh, I have it... I have it here on my other screen, because I actually made some notes. Okay, so the really good ones in PvP is, first off, Mind Flay. I mean, it's like 200k damage over 10 seconds if people don't kill it. Now you can kill it because it only has like 5k HP. So yeah, but I mean you can kill it with one Serpent Sting, or one kill command. Maybe a bomb if you're super desperate, but I don't know. And then Infinite Stars is really good as well. I think I have one Infinite Star piece, just so I can show you the tooltip. Here, Infinite Stars is pretty good. I wouldn't say that it's better or worse than the appendage. I'd say they're like roughly the same. And then Gushing Wounds is also really good. And then there's one that gives you versatility if you're getting hit. That one is pretty good. And then there's one that gives you 12% increased haste from all sources. That one is pretty good as well. And then 12% verse from all sources. Both of those are really good as well. For PvP, I don't think Echoing Void is good at all. Because the problem with survival is that you kind of don't really play as a melee spec. You kind of just... I mean, you can play like this, and then sometimes I guess you can go in for fun, but it's not like you're not in melee range 100% of the time. You're not like a warrior or something like that, you know? So it's kind of hard to get full value out of your Echoing Void. And also it's nerfed by 50%, so that just kind of blows. But I mean, this is not nerfed by 50%, this was max damage for some reason. They might nerf this in the future, I don't know. But I'd say for right now, it's probably one of the better ones. And then Infinite Stars and Gushing Wounds, I'd say, are the better ones as well. But yeah, I think I'm gonna maybe do like a part 2 maybe soon, but this is probably just gonna be part 1. Kind of long part 1, but yeah, whatever, that's just how it is. I like to go in depth, okay? So yeah. And also, if you want to know something else, like what part 2 should even be about, should I do about comps to play? Should I do rotation? Something else? Maybe like a PvE guide. I know some people were wondering about PvE. So yeah, I mean, just write something down in the comments, and then I'll maybe do it. Okay. So yeah, peace, boys. Bye. I hope you enjoyed my guide, bros.